Hi, my name is Jackie Knight, and I'm the founder and artistic director of the Youth Performance Company. And I'm going to tell you today about our nonprofit, youth-inspired theater company. We are currently celebrating our 25th anniversary season, and we need to find a home for our theater company. Why does that matter to you? Well, let me tell you. One thing that we all have in common is that we were all teenagers at one time. Remember those awesome but awkward years? It was hard, right? Well, for many of us, what made it easier was when we found our own tribe, our own people, maybe even a group that had an incredible, charismatic leader. Like this fellow, who's the leader of this tribe, the one that you've joined with your fellow entrepreneurs. If our kids are going to navigate adolescence with success, they're going to need to find their own tribe, just like you have. We work with teens to help them find a voice and a tribe. We produce plays that are about young people making important decisions. And we've won some impressive awards. 2 Ivy Awards for our stage productions, 3 National Cine Golden Eagle Awards for our educational films, and the Minnesota Nonprofit Anti-Racism Award. But the best award that I get in my job happens every day at around 4 p.m. when the future walks through the doors of YPC. And the future is in search of something, a purpose, a place where they feel safe, a place where they feel they belong, a home and a tribe. Since its inception, Youth Performance Company has established a reputation among young theater artists as the place to do smart, original, professional, quality work. Kids seek us out because they know that we'll listen to them and we will tell their stories. We do shows that are about things that matter in kids' lives. We listen to what young people are talking about and we respond. We tell bold stories about bullying, teen health, and human rights. This image that you're looking at right now was from our show Mean, which was about bullying, and that came from the conversations that we had with the kids involved with our company. Now, why should you care about these kids and their stories? Because participating in theater makes a positive impact on people who will be our future citizens and leaders. Kids who participate in the arts are 4 times more likely to be recognized for academic achievement, to participate in math and science fairs, and to perform community service. Why does it matter that kids participate in the arts? Because the arts teach kids to think critically. The arts enable all of us to have experiences that we can't have anywhere else, and the arts help children say what is often going unsaid in their communities and in their lives. So, what do you think of when you think of an actor? Is it this? Kind of flaky and goofy and not in the real world? Well, theater is hard work, and our kids learn how to work together, problem solve, take direction, take criticism, and how to do some very practical things, like sweeping a stage or ironing a costume. They have to show up on time for rehearsals and shows. They have to learn their lines, their lyrics, their dances. They have to do their very best at every single show, no matter what's going on in their lives. I always say if you want the best person for a job, hire an actor because they understand rejection, they understand perseverance, and they understand hard work. Now, I'd like to tell you about 3 stories of our tribe. This is Peyton. He is a young, talented artist without a home, literally a homeless teen. But despite his circumstances, he would show up to rehearsal each and every day, ready to work, ready to learn. YPC became his home. This is Tess. She comes from a family that's in crisis. She has a loss of family, loss of confidence. She's uncertain. She's been bullied. But now YPC is her tribe. YPC is her family. She's surrounded by people who believe in her, who see her strengths, and now she believes in herself. This is Patrick. He's a YPC alumni. He's a young man who was losing hope, tormented by his peers because he was different. He found YPC and he found his tribe. He discovered his potential. He regained his courage and recovered his hope. Today, he's a loving partner, scholar, corporate employee, and co-founder of his own theater company. Many of our young artists have gone out to the universe and shown their own lights. Some of them become successful performers. Others have gone on to serve in the Peace Corps or to become teachers or awesome parents. You'll see a few of these are famous. Devin Kelly is in Resurrection right now. Seth Nimrich is in Turn on AMC. And Nick Swartzen and Josh Harnett are a part of our family. One of the things about a tribe is that they have a home, and we've been renting performance space and office space, and we need to move into a single space that can be our permanent home. It could be a brand new building, it could be a church, it could be a grocery store, it could be a barn. Anything can be repurposed and rebranded for our incredible tribe. We're searching for a home that is family-friendly, structurally suited, no pillars please, urban in Minneapolis, and it would need to be about 20,000 square feet. If you can help us find this space, we can turn it into a thriving theater at the heart of our community. Now, I'd like you to remember what it was like to be a young person and looking for a place to make a contribution. Because if you remember back to that, then I know you'll want to help us find a permanent place to help our kids find their truest, deepest expressions of their best selves. If you'd like to learn more about our tribe, we have our final show of our 25th anniversary season. It's Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, and it's really awesome. I was just at rehearsal last night. We also have our summer camps and our summer classes that will be starting soon. If you have any ideas for our tribe, please come and see me after the other presentations. I would love to talk to you more about our company and our hope to find a home. I'll leave you with one thought. Remember, like Dorothy always said, there's no place like home. Thank you.
So my oldest daughter is actually a YPC alum, and so I would tell you that it works. And then my oldest daughter's BFF is one of the most active YPC members. It's a fabulous organization, and if there's anything you could do to help, please do that. Harley Feldman is on next, talking about omnichannel and the intersection of bricks and clicks. For those of you who were here in January, the January speaker talked about customer experience and talked about omnichannel, and so we're tying Harley's presentation into the January speaker. And then Harley has been an entrepreneur for a lot of years, because we go back maybe 20 to some of the stuff that Harley was doing back then. Stuff that we thought was totally cutting edge 20 years ago, which now not so interesting, but 20 years ago, Harley was doing some really cool entrepreneurial stuff. So please welcome Harley Feldman.
So I'm Harley Feldman, co-founder and chief marketing officer at a little company called Seonic, where we do automated inventory. I'm going to transition from the arts to technology. Stick with me. And talk a little bit about what I see in the marketplace. So here's the old-fashioned way of shopping. Walk in the store, pick up all the things you want, pay for them, walk out the door, take them home. Instant gratification, but a lot of energy. No, not to detract from the shoppers in the room. A lot of effort went into buying things and taking them home, and that's the way shopping was done. Well, we transitioned. Now we do online shopping, where you can sit at a terminal, interface with a selling organization, decide what you want to buy, decide the price you want to pay, have it delivered at home in 2 days. Looks like it comes right through the computer. All of that's been done without you going into a store. Now, who created all this? A little company called Amazon. We said, we think we can do this online with any product, make it a fair price, and deliver good service. And Amazon built themselves up as a huge company in the marketplace that could satisfy this demand, do it quickly, deliver stuff to your house, and do it at a fair price. And what's accelerated this trend? Millennials. I know there aren't any in the room. But we don't have patience anymore. We want instant gratification. We want things right now. And so that online experience, being able to go there, order, and get delivered at home is accelerating. So Amazon's response to that is to build huge warehouses and processing centers to hold all this product so that you can order what you want and have it delivered to your house. A lot of technology here, very large spaces that accomplish the need of getting the right item to you. And this is what happens when it works. You get really excited. You know, I've done the online, I've got the thing I want, it's been delivered to my house, and it's exactly what I was looking for. So why wouldn't people want to do this? Well, this is a good thing for Amazon. It's had an impact on the retailers, and that's what I'm going to talk about, is what the retailers' response to this situation is. So the retailers have typically done, done work with their customers in the channels they come through on. People who walk in a store are treated differently than people that come on the web. And that's not been a good thing for the retailers. So the omni-channel approach that I'm talking about today is to integrate all that. Doesn't matter how the customer got to the store, I'm going to take care of them. And in order to do that, now the retailers have to have an integrated supply chain. They have got to work with their trading partners to make all that happen so that you're satisfied when you want the product and delivered where it needs to go, or where you want it to go, I should say. The reason for all this? Increased sales, can you imagine? It's to have more satisfied customers so that they're attracted to you as a retailer. You're offering the product they want at a fair price, delivered how you want it, and done quickly. And the objective is so people will come back. Now, how do we make all this happen? Great inventory accuracy. This kid's binoculars are really good. You have to have that visibility to inventory across all the supply chain, whether it comes from the factory or it's in the retail store. They need to know where that item is, and you need it through big visibility. How to make all that happen? A lot of technology, a lot of integration of systems, and integrating the customer view with the retailer view. It all starts with the single view of a customer. Now, she looks a little discombobulated here, but what you want is a picture of what she wants to buy, when she wants to buy it, when it needs to be delivered, how she wants to pay, and accessories that go with it. That single view allows the retailer to be much more responsive to her needs. And yet, every customer needs to be considered individually. So what this is mass customization of process. Same existing process, works for every customer, but unique for each particular consumer to meet her needs. In order to make it work, the retailers have to work with their trading partners. This is not a situation that was common a few years ago. It used to be fighting each other. But in order to make this work, they have to work together. So this is a new environment for retailers to work with their trading partners and have the same common objective. And it's evolving very quickly in response to what the competition is doing. What's the best technology to make all this work? There's my one technology slide. Is RFID. For those of you that aren't familiar with the technology, it's a wireless UPC code. And over time, these will appear on every product. And because they're wireless, this information can be collected automatically and stored automatically. So now we have to meet the fulfillment for all these customers that are coming in. And the way this is done, and this is what's turned the retail industry upside down, is fulfillment from store. You don't have to wait for a distribution center. Your order is going to be fulfilled from the store. In order to make that happen, they have to know what's in the store. But the result, happy customers. You've now met the requirement for the product, delivered it quickly, fulfilled whether they want to pick it up in the store or have it shipped to the home, and you get a whole set of happy customers that then want to come back to the retailer. And believe it or not, people still like to shop in stores. These are the top 4 supply chain companies. Just to give you an example of people that do it right, Apple's number 1, McDonald's number 2, Amazon number 3, and Unilever number 4. These companies get it, and they move product to the consumers as quickly and efficiently as they can. And finally, if you watch 60 Minutes, Amazon's talking about their drones to deliver products. So this is a product ordered uniquely by you and ordered and delivered uniquely to you. It's probably a long ways away, but the image is right. This is Amazon's response to try to beat the retailers at the omni-channel game. So this process is going to continue to go on. And the reason is more happy consumers. Whoever wins this battle owns the consumer's heart and mind and gets more business. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Harley. At Control Data, Harley was in a business unit that had a bunch of small little technology-oriented companies that Harley was trying to bring to market with some folks on his team, and then Gary Smaby and I were trying to help him do that. So we were doing some pretty cool technology stuff back 20 years ago, I think. Anyway, good job, Harley. Caroline Moores. Fatal flaw, the lack of candor in the workplace. And I've gotten to know Caroline over the last couple of years through the group here. She's been a wonderful addition and supporter of the group, and greatly appreciate that. And she's going to talk to us about the lack of candor in the workplace. Caroline?
And you may want to know I'm Dutch, so that's my excuse for talking about candor in the workplace. If you know anything about Dutch people, we tend to be direct and we don't shy away from confrontation or not even from provocation. So that'll set you up for this presentation. So my first candor-related embarrassment, I take you back to the 80s. Think Pointer Sisters and Dire Straits, and to the Netherlands. Think windmills and wooden shoes, and my little nephew, a 5-year-old Randy, who was on a bus with me, and we see a guy sitting across from us. And you don't need a degree in psychology to realize that when he was looking at a really huge guy, that tension was building up, not just in him, but also in me. And here comes his brutally candid question to me. Why is this man so terribly fat? Horrible words. So over to you and candor in the workplace. Many conversations in the workplace, they benefit from subtlety and nuance, right? But at least as many are in dire need of candor. So, organizations and clients, your clients, what do they need? They need you to be trustworthy. But I know that most of us shy away from being candid. And Simon Sinek tells us that if we know why we should be doing something, that we are motivated to act. So, let me tell you why. Have you ever had a conversation where you wanted to tell someone the truth, but you didn't dare to? Whether it was on performance issues, whether it was a client who was asking something that is impossible, I'm sure you did. It increases employee engagement, it increases motivation, it increases performance. And Causes and Posner, 25 years of research, say that candor mediates self-deception and ego-tripping arrogance. So I apologize for anyone who is still eating. Candor in the workplace in Minnesota is like opening a can of worms, so I'm sorry about that. But it's not just here that people fear candor. So just to be clear, when I talk about candor, I don't talk about bullying or serving your own self-interest. I don't mean disrespecting someone. I do mean candor from a place of care and compassion and with a positive intention, right? So it's never a goal in itself. So let me give you some hard talk psych information. I'm a psychologist, so why wouldn't I share this with you? It's all about you. It's about your thinking patterns and about your fears. What you think and your thinking distortions and what you fear keeps you from talking to this boss, peer, or employee in a candid way. So the first candor blocker is fear. You fear disapproval. You fear that you might mess up and things turn bad. You fear negative emotions during the conversation. You fear disrespecting someone. But the question is, are these fears grounded? So that takes me to the second candor blocker, which is misguided assumptions about respect and about manners. So if you think that showing respect is synonymous with withholding the truth and withholding something that might be painful, you are wrong. If you think that conversations need to be smooth and easy, you are wrong. And of course, it's true, right? Leadership does matter. You might be sitting here thinking, yeah, but in my organization, not even the leaders are candid. So why should I start? And why should I risk being, I don't know what the laughs are. Maybe it was the touch with the Netherlands, right? But there are always excuses that we can have, right? You can say, oh, this is not our culture. No, we don't do that here, Caroline. Or sometimes my clients will tell me, oh, keeping everything smooth is so much easier and less risky. That's true, but these are excuses. They're lame, they're lousy. Your thinking is what makes it difficult to be candid. So if you think that you need to, at all times, prevent tensions and conflict in conversations, yeah, sure, we would all like that, right? But sometimes it's unavoidable. And your needs, for example, your need to be liked and to be disrespected and to be honored in the way you build a relationship is what keeps you from talking to people about things that they aren't doing well, things that they maybe are missing out on. So let me give you some building blocks for candor. First of all, you need to care for the person, right? Second, there needs to be some trust, because if I would walk up to you, sir, and I would tell you, I really think that your outfit looks horrible. First of all, that candor doesn't serve a purpose, and we didn't build any trust. So those are two important ingredients. And it's not true. Thank you, Wendy. Thank you so much. So when you are the leader of the pack, I hope that you will invite your team or your employees to dissent and to disagree with you. And I hope you model shying away from half-truths. And of course, sometimes things go wrong, including in my coaching practice. I'm very candid with my clients, and sometimes, even though I built the trust and I know the techniques, it goes wrong. But mistakes are usually not final or fatal. This one might be, but mistakes in candor usually are not. So I ask you to risk candor, and I want you to act accountable, because it's not the fears or the mistakes that you fear. I think what you fear is being found out, that, you know, maybe sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. What you fear is the tension that we all are wired to avoid. So 3 calls for action for all of you. Stop the sugarcoating and the over-sanitizing of your messages. The second one is start facing your fears, and are they grounded, and how could you work around those? And shift your mindset from psychological fragility to resilience. We are much more resilient. So how did the 5-year-old and the young man end up? So here it is, right? Caroline, why is this man so terribly fat? So I get increasingly nervous, my heartbeat races, my usual quick wit really fails me, and before I can even think of a way out, the man shifts his weight, folds his hands, and real nicely says, well, young man, that's a long story, but let me tell you something. I'm sure you haven't seen anyone as big as I am. I was happy, I was safe, and I thank you for listening.
Thanks, Caroline. So David Black, one of our sponsors of the event from Schwegman Lumber Woosner, is our next presenter. And patents, I think, can be a little bit of a, speaking of fear, can be a little bit of a scary topic and maybe not that easy to understand and get your arms around. And so David came to me with an idea of when a house is like a patent, and I thought that would be a wonderful concept to share with everybody to hopefully make patents a little bit more approachable. David Black.
Where's our computer? There he is. Ken, we're ready to go. Okay, folks, my name is Dave Black. We're here to talk about business. One thing I do know about everybody in this room is you're interested in growing, interested in making your business better, interested in improving society. And so at bottom, this means we're going to be raising some money, generating revenue. And one of the key considerations for generating revenue is capturing some of the assets that you have. And that includes, most importantly, in many businesses, capturing the intellectual property. Those are patents. And so to help you understand patents today, we're going to make an analogy here and talk about how a patent compares with a house, a piece of real estate, for example. So let's go through some of the basics here. How do you get a house? You pay cash. You pay money for the house. You pay your money and you receive a deed. And so there's really no application process here, notwithstanding the application for a loan, but it's payment of cash for a house, and that's how you end up with a deed. Now, on the other hand, if you're looking for a patent, you have to apply, and a patent requires passing certain thresholds, minimum performance, and you have to qualify. Your idea has to be sufficiently clever in order to get a patent. And so we think in terms of what does it take to really get a patent, because it's an application. Some of the elements that have to go into it is your idea has to be sufficiently new, something that's not been done before. Another important consideration is your idea has to be non-obvious. We have a picture of Captain Obvious before us, and the point here is it has to be something where somebody says, wow, I never would have thought of that. And then, of course, it also has to have a certain utility. And by its very nature, each patent is unique. It's not like all the tiki-taki houses in a row, but each patent is different than anything else before it. And so it's a time-wise calculation. And that's one of the failures with thinking about it in terms of a real estate metaphor, but it still helps us think about it. How do we negotiate and obtain real estate? Well, like I say, you're paying cash or some money, but it boils down to a negotiation between a seller and a buyer. And at the end of the day, those are the parties that have to be satisfied. A meeting of the mind to reach a conclusion and obtain a piece of real estate, acquire real estate. With regard to obtaining a patent, the challenge before you is it's an application. So you have to go in front of the public. And on behalf of the public, the patent examiner is going to scrutinize your application and decide whether it's worthy or not of a patent. And when it comes to owning and continuing to own your real estate, for example, you have to pay on a regular basis annual property taxes. For Minnesota, that falls in May and October, and they're on an annual basis. Failure to pay the taxes means you lose your house. On the other hand, when it comes to owning intellectual property, there are maintenance fees to be paid, and those occur at fixed time intervals of 3.5, 7.5, and 11.5 years after the time of grant. Failure to pay your patent maintenance fees means that the patent lapses and it becomes available for others in the world to use. So people also ask me quite commonly, what does it cost to get a patent? And we think about that in terms of a house purchase again. How much do you want to spend for a house? Is a small one going to meet your needs? Do you need something a little larger? And what are your objectives for making this purchase? Why are you buying this? In terms of a patent, those costs can vary quite widely as well. They range from the very simplest patent application for a very, very simple idea, maybe not, you can get a patent for that, but to a far more complicated patent which covers a wider variety of technical aspects in your innovation. So you may have all different needs. It covers a spectrum. How long does it take to get a patent or get a house? In terms of a real estate transaction, we measure it probably in terms of weeks or maybe a month or two for a closing and all the paperwork to be completed. When it comes to acquiring a patent, on the other hand, the spectrum is a little bit different. Now we're talking about a schedule that can be measured in terms of years. There are mechanisms by which you can speed up the application process, but those come with costs, as you would imagine. But typically we look at timelines of 2 to 4 years to obtain a patent. So once you have your patent, then of course the natural question is, what can you do with it? Looking at a house metaphor, we know that you can enjoy your home, you can enjoy your property, you have peace and quiet, and you're not going to be bothered. You can do a lot of things, but it's not completely unchecked. For example, you can't put up a 6-unit apartment building in your backyard without getting a variety of approvals. With regard to a patent, the patent gives you an exclusionary right, which means you can stop others from encroaching in your fence line within the bounds of your application, of your technology that's outlined in the patent itself. So you can ask people to leave. You can stop them from practicing, stop them from making, using, or selling something. Another important question is, what happens if I move into the marketplace with my new technology? Am I going to get in trouble with regard to practicing some technology? And so now we have to look at the patents held by others. You may be stepping on somebody else's mousetrap, and we want to avoid that. For purposes of most businesses, we have a variety of patents, a number of patents that we're interested in obtaining. Similarly, for a house, you're probably only looking at a single residence. Maybe you own two, but few people own more than 3 homes in our society. On the other hand, when it comes to an intellectual property asset, most folks find it particularly valuable to have a number of arrows in their quiver. And this gives them the opportunity to take on all sorts of challenges to the business that they are trying to conduct. So you may have patents that cover a varying scope of the technology that you're interested in working with. So I leave you with a final question here, and this is our number 3 question, and that is, what sort of a patent portfolio is right for your business?
All right, thank you, David. Thank you for making patents a little bit more approachable. Appreciate that very much. Julie Keys is our next presenter. Julie's going to be talking about the sellability score. And what was interesting to me about that is we're all trying to grow something. And if we all grow something for a period of time, what do we do at the end of that period of time? And in many instances, hopefully, we end up selling that business. So Julie Keys is here to talk about the sellability score. Julie?
Snap out of there. Oh, there you are. So, 95% of businesses are in trouble. And why is that? What is the conversation that we're having a hard time having? What is it that we resist? Raise your hand if you're a business owner. Okay. So is business ownership all you ever dreamed it would be? Okay. So who's to blame if your business fails? Well, we are, right? Like I said, what is it that we're resisting? What's the conversation that we don't want to have with ourselves? There's no substitute for good advice. And all business owners need to have good advisors on their team. Yes or yes? Yes, right. So how do we break out of a business slump? Well, self-assessment is huge. We need to take a look at the way things are right now, today. Otherwise, we're not going to know where we're going to go. How are we going to know when we get in the car and we start driving if we don't have a destination? We're just going to drive around? So it's time for us to take a self-assessment. I coach my clients using the AdvoCoach franchise system. And we use a tool called the sellability score. The sellability score is a tool that measures value in a business. What drives value in the business? There's 8 factors, actually, that drive value in a business. We're going to talk about each one just for a little bit. First of all, let's talk about money. Most people put their money in 3 main categories. They've got their house, they've got their investments, and they've got their savings account. And hopefully they hire a financial advisor to help them figure out where all that money is going to go. And maybe we could even leave a legacy someday for our loved ones. But business owners are different. Business owners have a different nest egg, and that nest egg is their business. Business owners put all their time and their money, right, into their business. And they hope that someday there's going to be some kind of windfall of money that's going to come their way because of all the sacrifice and all the time that they spent and all the money that they spent. But that almost never happens. Why does that never happen? Well, because businesses are difficult to sell. Why are they difficult to sell? Because business owners think that their business is worth way more than the market will bear. And many times there's cash flow issues. There's exit planning that hasn't happened. And the list goes on and on. So the sellability score measures value in a business in 8 separate categories. And we're going to talk about each of these factors just a little bit. They were coined by a man named John Warlow, actually, who wrote a book called Built to Sell. It's a great book if you haven't read it. So the first one is called financial performance, and financial performance has to do with profitability in a company. It also has to do with size versus risk. So the smaller the company, the higher the risk. And unfortunately, most businesses do not ever reach $1 million in revenue, which makes them much more difficult to sell. The second factor, and for whatever reason the graphic isn't showing up, but oh, here it is. Growth potential. So the first one's geographic scalability. Can we grow this business in other locations and in other markets? Horizontal means, can we add products or services to this business that we're not already selling? And third, vertically, where do we have room that we can grow without adding to expense? The third is called the Switzerland structure, and that has to do with neutrality. We don't ever want to be too dependent on any one supplier or any one employee or any one customer or client. We really don't want to have any more than 20% of our business come from any one customer or client. That's like the ceiling. So, valuation teeter-totter has to do with cash flow. Cash flow is really important. We all know cash is king, right? So when a business buyer is looking at your business as a potential purchase, they want to see that there's money there. And if they see that you're using your line of credit to make your payroll or pay your operating expenses too often, that's kind of a red flag. So recurring revenue is another way that we could drive business or drive revenue in a business. And recurring revenue has to do with, like, can I sell subscriptions? Can I create contracts that people will buy so they work with me for a long time? It drives security in a business, and it makes it more attractive to a would-be buyer. The sixth factor is monopoly control. What is my USP? What's my unique selling proposition with my business? What makes me different? What's the moat of protection that I have around my company that my competition does not have? And then the last one, or I'm sorry, the second to the last one, how do we know if we have happy customers? Well, we ask them. On a scale of 1 to 10, what is the likelihood that you will do business with our company or that you will refer your friends and your family? Referrals are everything. Measuring customer satisfaction is hugely important. And then the last one is called hub and spoke, and then that has to do really with the dependence of the business on the owner. What happens if you can't work? Who takes over? So as the captain of your ship, how many of these hats are you wearing, right? Dependency on the owner is really important. And then the last one, or I'm sorry, steering the captain's ship. We are the captain of our ship, right? So we're steering our ship, and sometimes as business owners, we really work too much in our business, and we don't work enough on our business. And so the important thing is to remember that we've got a vision, we have to stay focused on our vision, and we need to plan. But why is this all important? Well, it really isn't important unless you have a business that you want to sell someday. And so you're asking yourself, well, what do I do? How do I get started? When is a good time for me to get going on this? And the answer is now. Now is the time. Doesn't matter what stage you're in your business. You have a postcard on your table, and it invites you to take the sellability score. It looks like this. It's free, and it takes 10 minutes, and it's a multiple choice questionnaire. And you'll get a report, and we'll talk about it, and we'll see where you score. Thanks, everyone, and thanks, Rick. Thank you.
Thanks, Julie. So our last presenter, Cheryl Hill, I met in this room maybe 6 months ago or so at a similar event, business networking event. She's here to talk about protecting our students abroad, which is a very interesting story about a nonprofit that she's starting. It's not an easy story, but it's a interesting story. It's a good story that I thought should be told. But I did put it last because I wouldn't have wanted to follow this story if I were one of the presenters. So with that, Cheryl Hill, Protect Our Students Abroad.
On your tables, on your centerpieces, are a brochure so that you can take our words home and chime in to become part of our tribe. My story is candid, and it is provocative. For me, the best job in the world is being the mom of Tyler and Alec, and the host mom of 8 exchange students for more than 12 years. When our son Tyler had the opportunity to go abroad, we wanted to give him the world. our story is an eye-opener. Barely 16, our son Tyler, an honor student, a leader and a role model, an MVP on a U19 rugby team, died on a people-to-people student ambassador trip to Japan. His death was 100% preventable. We did not know that no laws protect our kids when they go abroad. Invisible students are students like my son Tyler. You do not know the safety record of the program you are trusting with your child. No one knows. There is no mandated, transparent public reporting. We have been asking the U.S. Department of State for death records for the past 2 years. We have nothing yet. We founded Clear Cause because we wanted to help. We could fix it, or we could live with it. We wanted to do more. We need laws to protect the welfare and health and well-being of our children, our future. Michelle Obama speaks for 100,000 Strong. 100,000 Strong is a very exciting initiative encouraging your kids to go abroad, build relationships, and expand in this global economy. 100,000 Strong must become 100,000 Stronger. 183,000 United States students studied abroad last year. Most come back safe is not good enough for me. They should all come back safe. Our vision is 0 preventable deaths and injuries in an industry held to the highest standards. These are our best and our brightest, especially in the big business of study abroad. The World Youth Student Travel Confederation invites you to tap into this lucrative $183 billion industry that investigates itself. We would never, ever allow our child behind the wheel before they had a permit, driver's ed, they knew the road conditions, the warnings, they had a safe vehicle, insurance, and laws to protect them. Our kids often do not know how to advocate for themselves when their trips go bad. Most of us don't know. I'd like to help you know. Before you go abroad, you should go to travel.state.gov and register your trip. There you will find warnings and alerts, like this current one in Venezuela. These warnings will help you decide whether you should travel or not. You will also find there the emergency 3-digit number in the country you're visiting. It is not 911. Travel insurance is not optional. It can cost more than $50,000 to bring your child home when the horrible happens. A trip to a travel clinic is necessary 3 to 4 months before they travel to learn about health risks. Vaccinations can take 3 to 4 months to incubate to become effective. You will need an active passport and money to get to your child if they need you. You will also need a power of attorney because of FERPA and HIPAA rules, especially if they're older than 18. Important documents like health records, credit cards, and driver's licenses should be posted online in the cloud. Who is really your child going abroad with? Is it the Big 10U, or is it Ruby and her relative? Is Ruby and her relative on VinUSA certified for hostile territory? If not, why are 15 of our Minnesota students residing in Venezuela weeks after the U.S. Department of State evacuated Fulbright scholars? Fast forward to Costa Rica. This is a big program. This kid was robbed at gunpoint. They took everything. That program shoved a waiver under that kid's nose when he asked for help. You are not going to get your credits, your money back, or your graduation, and good luck getting home because you are on your own. What would your child do? These are our awesome ideas. We want to create crowdfunding to give students what they want, money to go abroad, so that we can push to those students what we want, risk and safety mitigation and education. When they come back, we want to ask those students to rate their study abroad, student-reviewed program accreditation. We have published an app called Save Our Students. It's on iPhone and Android. It has GPS location and emergency contact notification. It has a follow me feature and it alerts your student to the 3-digit number in that country. It has been tested all over the world. It's free. We have also published ASAP, a student abroad preparedness plan, 50 checkpoints pulled from hundreds of sad stories to help you know before they go. We also provide Stu Card, affordable trip insurance for your student before they go. It provides a 1-800 emergency toll-free number to help them with the translator. So, Clear Cause Voices is a module on our website allowing you to easily send a letter to your state and federal policymakers to engage in our conversation. We are so grateful and thankful for Representative Seltzer and Senator Bonoff for the first bill in the world to put the count in higher ed accountability. How can you help us? We need your voice. Please send a letter to your policymakers and support them. We want you to chime in on social media and share our messages. People need to know what we know. You can volunteer your time and talent, and you can sponsor your brand on our award-winning work. We need your financial support. Please give generously. Our award-winning work is made possible by these amazing companies. We have award-winning Telly and Emmy public service announcements on cable televisions. We are recognized as good stewards with a GuideStar Exchange Gold participant. It's time. What will you do? Will you fix it or will you live with it? We support 25 families whose children are dead. They had a great time, but they're just as gone as if they didn't. Safety means the world to our kids when they go abroad. Our kids mean the world to us. And there is not enough gratitude in these words. Thank you. Rick Brimacombe-san, arigato gozaimashita.